What is going on, New York Giants fans? Back at it with our Week 12 preview between the New York Giants and the New England Patriots. I'm your host, Tom Scavetta, joined alongside a special guest today, a recurring guest of the brand, Alec Walt. It's been a while. I'm excited to have you on. The records might not be great, but thrilled to chop this one up with you.
Yeah, Tom, I really appreciate you having me on here. I am not impressed too much with the Patriots. Again, I'd love if our two teams were competing for a playoff spot as we were in today's matchup, but they are fighting for another trophy. That's the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. So someone has to win this game. So I'm looking forward to previewing it with you today here on your show.
Absolutely. Speaking of draft picks, the Giants are coming off a win against the Washington Commanders.
Woo!
31-19. Giants are now picking 5th in this year's NFL draft. Tommy DeVito looked solid. He had 3 touchdown passes in this game. The New Jersey Italian stigma has been bouncing around the tri-state area over the past couple weeks. It was just announced as well now, Walt, that Daniel Jones will undergo surgery on Wednesday. And you know what? I'm okay with DeVito starting for the remainder of the season. It's not like we're going to make the playoffs, but on the surface here, I know you guys are dealing with a similar situation with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe, which leads us to our Week 12 preview. Before we kind of chop this up ingredient-wise, your overall thoughts on the surface of this football game heading into Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to wake up every Sunday morning being motivated to watch the New England Patriots play football. They're a team that were projected to come in last place in their division at the start of the season, and they have certainly lived up to those expectations. In my opinion, they are worse than I was expecting, but in Week 2 and 3, when you lose Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez, your best pass rusher and your best cornerback, a team that didn't have a chance to win many games certainly saw their percentages go down the toilet once those two were down. Since the defense has not lived up to expectation, the offense was below average to start and certainly hasn't performed well at all. This is not a very good football team, in my opinion. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter who they play. It doesn't matter where they play. They have not showed up. They have not performed and have the most embarrassing brand of football since Belichick has been the head coach. Belichick has not had many years where he could say the year was completely embarrassing, as he was contending for Super Bowls for over 2 decades. But what's happened since Brady has left to what's happened right now? I mean, they made the playoffs the first year with Mac Jones, and it's just been absolutely downhill ever since. Bill O'Brien becomes the head coach, and I don't see any changes offensively. It's almost like Matt Patricia still calling the plays. It doesn't matter what they do. Their receivers look like they don't know how to run routes. Their offensive line is injured, doesn't protect Mac Jones. The running game isn't terrible, but you're not going to win in today's game 10-3. I mean, the Colts just beat them 10-3, but that's not how you're going to win games. The defense is below average. Without Matt Judon, it's way easier to block them. The secondary sucks because J.C. Jackson, who they traded for, doesn't see the field. They cut John Jones and lost Christian Gonzalez in the first year without Devin McCourty. And now we're all talking about who the heck's going to be the next year's head coach. And honestly, this is a roster that I really wouldn't want to be the head coach for. So this has been an awful year. I think the only way Patriots fans can make up for how bad this year has been is if they get the number 1 overall pick, which unless the Bears just continue to be the Chicago Bears, the Pats have a relatively good chance of being able to do that. Obviously, they're going to have to go play matchups like this against other teams who, for the most part, have the same goals. I think the Giants work a little bit harder than the Patriots, in my opinion, and we'll get into predictions later in the show. But I'm not impressed at all. I think this is a embarrassing brand of football, and I cannot wait for the season to end to finally know what pick we have and move on, hopefully, and for better days within the organization.
Yeah, well, Patriots 3.5-point favorites in this game. As a Giants fan, from an outsider's perspective, I mean, the Patriots have been the most successful NFL franchise since the year 2000, and we all know why. And Bill Belichick has been the head coach during that time. So, New England coming off their bye week, what is the future of Bill Belichick? Is it going to be similar to what the Giants did with Tom Coughlin years back, where he it's like a firing, not really firing type of deal, or what's going to happen?
I mean, it's tough to fire someone who won you 6 Super Bowls. You know, I understand we're in a different era today than we were when Belichick was winning those Super Bowls, but the value of the organization has gone through the roof over those multiple decades of Bill Belichick. Robert Kraft has clearly shown his impatience and unhappiness with multiple seasons of missing the playoffs. They also had an event where a bunch of business partners internationally went to the game in Germany, where the product on the field absolutely embarrassed themselves. I mean, Bill Belichick is going to go down as the greatest coach of all time. He has the most Super Bowls. The guy is incredible, dominated in the salary cap era, and found a way to turn a 6th-round quarterback into the greatest quarterback of all time. This 1 year is not going to destroy his image. If he continues to come back and throw stuff at a wall that's not sticking, it's just going to make things look worse. If I'm Robert Kraft, I don't know how I can continue moving forward with him being the general manager and the head coach of this team, because it is impossible to do those 2 jobs at once in today's game. There is way too much talent around the country, from the college sports perspective, from a scouting perspective, from an interviewing perspective. I understand he has friends in college football. I get it. But what has translated onto the field over the last 5 years from a draft perspective simply has not been there, and is a big reason to why this team on the field has been struggling. They have spent more money than normal. I think they're trying to make up for their losses in the NFL draft. But right now, not even those players that they are signing are really panning out. I think Matt Judon and Hunter Henry have, for the most part, been worth it. But you go around the rest of the list, and you see guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne's been good, but they didn't bring back Max Best Target last year. Their second tight end has been a disaster. Or, well, Gesicki hasn't been a disaster, but Jonnu Smith wasn't good, and I don't think Gesicki's been anything amazing. So they want to do this 2 tight end offense that doesn't work because they don't throw the ball enough. And then Belichick, who's made an identity on the offensive line for all the years of Tom Brady, has never had a worse offensive line than right now. Their quarterback is cheap, and they're spending the money in the wrong areas. Then they go to draft, and they draft the wrong players. Name a team in the league who keeps their general manager when that's a thing. Let alone that their record's getting worse every single year over the last 3 years. Name a coach that stays there. Belichick should not be both. I understand if Kraft doesn't want to fire him. Honestly, I'd rather have him in the front office than on the field right now, because I think it'd be a better for the team internally if they had a younger voice like a Gerard Mayo, or I'm hearing Bill O'Brien's name a lot more. I don't know how many games you've watched of the Patriots this year, but their offense doesn't look much different last year than it is now. I don't think Bill O'Brien's deserved anything from what I've seen for his first year back in New England. So if I'm Kraft, I'm taking Belichick off the field. You're not going to fire him. I get it. If you want to trade him to the Commanders or whatever the heck we've heard before, fine. If he wants to be a head coach, he can continue doing it. But if I'm Robert Kraft right now, I cannot continue to put this product on the field. I don't believe Mac Jones will be on the field next year for the Patriots. I do think they're going to find a way to draft a quarterback or move up to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks in this upcoming NFL draft if they don't already have one of the top 2 picks. But I think Belichick will be in the organization. I don't think Kraft will fire him. I think it'll look terrible for Kraft if he does fire him. But if they mutually part ways, something's got to change. And we're starting to hear more from the younger Kraft. That's how I know something might happen. But I've been saying for years, he ain't going to fire him. I said it in 2020, 21, 22, 23, into 24. It's not happening. And I think they need to figure out a way to do it. And I think the best move for the organization is to have him be a part of the organization, but not exactly making the crucial decisions that he has not lived up to over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's all great points there, Alec. I mean, Bill Belichick, awesome head coach, probably the best of all time, but 3-game losing streak for New England. I mean, the Giants and the Patriots have the 2 worst offenses, points per game wise, in the National Football League. You touched upon what you want for next year, but what do you want for this week under center? Who do you think is starting at quarterback, Mac Jones or Bailey Zappe?
It's clearly in the clear favorite from a ownership standpoint is Mac Jones. I don't think either one of them really makes that big of a difference. If I was Bill, I'd play Zappe because I think he just has the better ability to move the ball down the field. I know that sounds terrible, but Mac Jones is not like the experiment is not working. It worked his first year, and he has not had the coaching nor the skill level to keep up with that from an offensive standpoint. His offensive line's gotten worse every single year. The only reason I think Mac starts is because if he doesn't, his trade value is going to go down. If he gets benched, they're not getting an early pick for him. I mean, they're not going to get an early pick from anyways, but they're not going to get anything really back for him. It's going to look terrible if they bench him on the trade market. I think it's pretty obvious that he's not going to be the future of this team, but I mean,
first round
ownership, exactly. Ownership knows that they need to make some moves. And if they're going to get less value on a tradable asset, you know, I would put Judon on the block. I'd put basically everyone except for like Kyle Duggar and Christian Gonzalez and a few other guys like that on the block. But the Pats are moving on from him, and they're not going to put themselves in a worse position trade-wise now for a game that they're probably going to lose anyways.
Personally, I think Zappe should start, but I don't think Mac Jones is as big of a dumpster fire as the media portrays him to be. His coaching is just atrocious. He is not a modern built quarterback, fine, but I think he's very capable. He needs good coaching, and he doesn't have that. He doesn't have it. So how is he going to succeed?
The Pats ruined him last year when they went with Judge and Patricia. Judge and Patricia are two good coaches. They know the game of football, but they're not quarterback specialists and offensive play callers. I don't know how he has been injured before. I went to the game against the Ravens when he had looked like a very serious ankle injury. He ended up coming back from that, but it literally hasn't looked the same. But you know, it's the NFL. There's film all over the league. There's technology in this game. If you don't keep up with the standards, you're going to get pummeled. It's just how it is. The Pats had a quarterback that was in the top 100, voted by the players, by the way, with Mac Jones after his rookie season, and they did not put him in a situation to be successful. They can't expect every person to be Tom Brady. They can't expect every person to be Peyton Manning. If you're going to come into the NFL, you have to have the pieces around you. And it's crazy that I'm saying this because we're talking about Bill Belichick, and you see the banners when you go around Gillette Stadium. He was on the field when they won those games. And you know, he was a little too deep into his ways, wanted his own guys, and it simply did not work. I think the Patriots are a huge reason to blame for Mac Jones not being successful. And you know, if Mac was in Cleveland right now, Cleveland could be 8-2-9-1. They're 7-3 because Deshaun Watson hasn't played like 6 games. You know, put him on with that if Mac was on 20 other teams or 10 other teams in this league, we wouldn't be talking about Mac the way we're talking about him right now. They don't protect him. He doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to, and he's constantly playing in a deficit. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You're putting him in a tough situation to begin with. And that's why we're talking about the number 1 pick instead of Mac Jones getting an extension.
Walt, I agree 100% about Mac Jones. And another guy who has not helped him coaching-wise is Joe Judge, the former New York Giants head coach. This is a Joe Judge revenge game, Bill Belichick revenge game, Jabril Peppers, you name it. There's a lot of ties between the Giants. New England leads the all-time series 7-6. Patriots trying to break a 3-game losing streak these teams last played in 2019. Walt, I'll start with you. What are your keys to the game for New England to come out on top?
Well, I want the number 1 pick. You sure you want us to, go out on top on this one?
I'm different. I want to win every game possible. But
if we win, then we're not going to get Caleb Williams.
I'm not a Caleb Williams fan. He's not.
I'm not either, but it's better than Mac Jones.
Yeah. I can't argue with you there. I'm not a Caleb Williams guy personally. I'd prefer Daniel Jones back over him for another year. That might be a minority opinion, but if they were to move on from our quarterback, because I know our quarterback might be in a similar situation, except we have paid him, I would prefer a guy like Maye or McCarthy, Penix as well. I just don't like Caleb Williams. That's the bottom line. I'm not a Caleb Williams fan, but I do agree.
We can get into the
upgrade
draft
over Mac Jones.
Yes. And to answer your question seriously, whenever Mac Jones has been his most successful, they developed a consistent game on the ground. I think running game, obviously, if they're going to treat this as a game they're going to win, they have to run the football. Number two, when they played internationally, he completed 15 passes for 170 yards. You know, they were trailing all game, and he threw for 170 passing yards. They have to figure something out offensively. I don't understand why they continue this short passing game, make it all the way up the field and don't score, or they go 3 and out, or they waste offensive possessions. There are times I watch this team offensively and think I'm watching like a high school football game. It's freaking embarrassing. It's ridiculous how they have guys like Parker Smith-Schuster, the rookie coming up, Hunter Henry. I mean, we're not talking about Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, you know, vintage Rob Gronkowski and whatever. I mean, these aren't amazing players, but they're guys you should be able to move the ball down the field with. I've been saying all season they got to wake up offensively. Why are we seeing the same offense we saw last year? This is a winnable game for the Patriots. They're playing a backup quarterback for a team that they don't have to travel very far to go to this game. It's in New York. It's going to be majority Giants fans, but there will also be Patriots fans in attendance. They're playing a backup quarterback when the team, I think Mac's going to start, a starting quarterback versus a backup quarterback. Whatever you brought to Germany with you needs to go away. They've had a bye week since. They certainly should be rested. I mean, Belichick normally has success after buys and whatnot, but it all starts with the running game. If Mac can have the pressure off his shoulders with the consistent game off the ground, it makes everything easier for him. But if they force him to pass into this stupid dink and dunk offense that doesn't work, they're going to be 2-9 at the end of this game and fight for the number 1 pick. What do I want them to do? I think I've already said it, but they have to try at least. But hey, your Giants get out of the number 1 pick window. Makes them better for getting one of the quarterbacks.
And look, too, I think with Brian Daboll, I mean, I think it's ridiculous that people have called for his job just after a playoff win last season. But
I agree.
I think, unfortunately, in the New York market, you have to win football games in order to keep jobs. That's just how it is. I mean, so the fact that they won against Washington last week, I was thrilled. For me, you're right. Ramondre Stevenson and Zeke Elliott are problems. If you get them between the tackles, you start running the football well, a lot less pressure off of Mac Jones. I mean, this could be like maybe a 10-pass game. Because on paper, Walt, your weapons are much better than ours, outside of Barkley, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, Waller's out. Slayton might have broken his arm or his hand. We don't know what happened there. So there's really no weapons for this Giants team outside of maybe Wan'Dale Robinson and Daniel Bellinger. And I know we got Hyatt. But he's a rookie, and they haven't thrown to him. So it's disappointing. It really is disappointing. But for me, I'm going to combine 2 keys into one. It's first for me, protecting Tommy DeVito is huge. DeVito, his evaluation over these last 7 games, now 6, including last week, prove that you can develop into the backup quarterback next season for whoever is starting. I would guess right now it'll most likely be Daniel Jones, and then eventually a rookie will take over due to Jones's contract, not his play and his injuries, of course. But DeVito was sacked 9 times last week and still threw 3 touchdown passes and found a way to win. So there's no excuse as to really why you can't throw touchdown passes behind a porous offensive line. Get the ball out quick. I get it. It was Washington. It wasn't Dallas. It wasn't Seattle. It wasn't Philly. But DeVito is capable of taking shots down the field. And here's where I'm concerned. Andrew Thomas has a sprained MCL in his left knee. He's missed a lot of time this season. Evan Neal, we're better when he's not on the field. I hate to say that, but it's true. We have 2 starters left since week 1. We have Justin Pugh starting at a guard position straight off the couch. There's a lot going against this Giants team right now. And I feel similar to you, Walt, where, yes, I would love to get a high draft pick, but I'd also like for Brian Daboll to keep his job. And I think if you protect Tommy DeVito, you most likely win the turnover battle. The Giants forced 6 turnovers last week against Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau is a wreck. You can pressure Washington. In my opinion, Thibodeau is the best player on the defense, 100%. They forced 6 turnovers last week. Who's to say they can't do that against the Patriots offensive line? I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be a low-scoring, ugly game. But I think protecting DeVito and winning the turnover battle are my 2 keys to the game for the Giants. Next up, we'll get into your players to watch. Maybe 2 for each team. Let's start with New England here for you, Alec, and then we'll go over to the Giants. Oh my.
So I think one guy to watch here. Obviously, I've already mentioned, the running backs. I think Zeke is a guy who obviously has a little bit of a history against the Giants. I've mentioned before that I think that if this Patriots team is going to win, they're going to develop a game on the ground. I think if they're going to run the football, obviously Ramondre Stevenson's the guy who's going to lead the team in carries and whatnot. But, I could see Zeke coming out here. I really do. They're going to have to run the football. I do think they're going to have a decent time of possession because I don't think this is going to be a game where they have the ball a ton. If Patriots develop a game on the clock, they want to run the football, they're going to use multiple backs. The way they run the football, they like to go in between the tackles. I think Zeke's going to get some touches this week. And one guy I haven't mentioned, I am loving what I'm seeing lately out of Demario Douglas. Again, he hasn't scored yet, but he's someone who's really stepped up offensively. You want to get the ball down the field. He's someone who's shown a little bit of playmaking flash that they haven't seen out of the veterans lately. So I hope Zeke gets some touches. Again, it's against a team that he historically does not like due to his time being with the Dallas Cowboys. But Douglas has stepped up and been the best receiver lately, and he's going to need to perform if the Patriots want to win this game.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'll give you my 2 for New England, and then we'll do your 2 for the Giants, and then mine. I guess we'll do it that way. Demario Douglas is very under the radar. Oh, yeah. I like him a lot. I really do. For me, my 2 for the Patriots, I think you know where I'm going here with this. Jabril Peppers.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking
him. I always have. I've always liked him. A little injury prone, but he's played well this season, it seems. 6 passes defended with 1 interception. He's a Joe Judge guy. And I just really think that he knows the Giants. He knows the Giants well. He played against a lot of these players in practice who are still there, like a Slayton, like a Saquon. Peppers he can be a box safety. He can make plays up in the box against you, or he can play freeloading and play back in cover 2, cover 4, you name it. I'm not sure what schematics you guys run at the moment, but that's pretty much where I'm at with Jabril Peppers. And then the other guy that I'm watching is Hunter Henry. Why? The Giants, I'm really excited to see how Hunter Henry goes up against Micah McFadden and Bobby Okereke. The theme the last several years, the Giants can't cover tight ends. Your best weapon right now might be Hunter Henry, receiving-wise on offense, over the middle of the field. Deontay Banks has been locked down this season. I know Adoree Jackson might be out, but the Giants have good inside linebackers. First time in like 20 years since Antonio Pierce. Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden are here to stay. And I'm very excited to see that matchup against Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki as well. He's a vertical threat. I'm not the biggest fan of Gesicki's blocking. I think Henry is more the full package. So that's what I'm concerned about if I'm a Giants fan on Sunday. So, yeah. Now, Walt, we'll get to your 2 for the Giants. Who are you looking at for Big Blue that can make a difference?
So, obviously, the easy pick here is Barkley. I mean, he's a huge reason why you guys beat the Commanders last week. DeVito's been awesome, but, you look at your skill players right now. You talked about it before with your weapons potentially being worse than ours outside of Barkley. Barkley shows up, the Giants are going to win. Pat stop Barkley, the Pats are going to win. I think he is your offense right now. And I don't think I'm really going crazy saying that statement. He looked like vintage Barkley last week. So right now going into this matchup, he's playing some of his better football. I think he had like 140 total yards and 2 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, in that matchup against the Commanders. So the Saquon we've seen in the past, or that version of him is someone who is going to be looking like that when it comes against the Patriots. So you look at the Patriots run defense. Again, I don't think anything in New England's defense right now is anything special without Judon and Gonzalez. I think it makes it a hell of a lot easier to play against them. And then, so I think when I look at that matchup, I think Barkley has the chance to have a huge game, but I don't want to take the easy way out here with this answer. But, you know, if you're going to stop this offense, you're going to stop this team, it's going to go through Saquon Barkley no matter what, based on the skill positions you have right now. Then, honestly, you know, DeVito coming back and performing that well it was a great performance by him. And I almost want to say a player to watch. I kind of like, I don't think Daboll gets fired. I actually kind of like, you have guys have a little bit more momentum right now than you've had before. I mean, obviously, Mac Jones is not a very exciting quarterback. This team has not scored points. DeVito steps up even half the way he did last week. You guys are going to win this game as well. He showed more in that game than I've seen from basically Mac all season. And the Commanders don't have a terrible roster. So, I mean, obviously it's going to come down to the offense in this game. Who the hell shows up in New England? I don't know. Obviously, everyone needs to pay attention to Barkley, but I don't see Max stepping up and scoring 31 points. You guys, your backup QB did it last week against a not great but good team. He does it against New England. You guys are going to win.
Yeah, I do think Tommy DeVito is criminally underrated. My first player to watch, I'm rolling with Kayvon Thibodeau, and here's why. I mean, these stats are just astonishing. 10.5 sacks, 21 pressures this season. He has as many sacks as Max Crosby and Micah Parsons. Through the first 11 games this season, he has 10.5 sacks, and he's only 22 years old. I'm looking at other players 22 or younger with 10 plus sacks. Obviously, back when they were 22 or younger, the list is as follows: Von Miller, Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, Yannick Ngakoue, JPP, Julius Peppers, Derek Thomas, Leslie O'Neal. That's it. Those are all good names, really good names. When I look at Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm looking at a star in the making. It's too soon to compare him to Lawrence Taylor. He's in his second year. But he owned Charles Leno. He had 2 sacks on Sam Howell. He's the first player with 10 or more sacks in a Wink Martindale defense. He's had 6 as a defensive coordinator. He's never had a guy with 10 or more sacks. Thibodeau's the first one. So I'm really excited for him in this game. And I think Dexter Lawrence, you can argue, takes a lot of pressure off of Thibodeau, right? Lawrence occupies 2 offensive linemen more often than not. Sometimes teams even triple team him, and that allows Thibodeau to get one-on-ones on the outside at that 5-tech position. Next up, I'm looking at Tommy DeVito. I am really looking at Tommy DeVito. I think this guy could sling it. I think this guy has some potential. The matter of it is this: Tyrod Taylor is probably not coming back this season, along with Daniel Jones. And Taylor is too expensive of a backup to bring back next year. So Tommy DeVito has a huge opportunity to insert himself as QB2 moving forward in the future. 5 touchdown passes through his first 2 starts, the most in Giants history. Good completion percentage last week. 3 touchdowns to no picks. Well, this stat will astonish you. A 158.3 passer rating on 3rd down last week. 7 of 8 with 2 touchdowns. Most of those were third and yep, that is how you win games. Most of those were 3rd and intermediates to 3rd and long. So I'm really looking at Tommy DeVito in this game. You mentioned Jack Jones got released. Jonathan Jones, is he still healthy?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Duggar and Peppers are really the only threats for me in the secondary. You said J.C. Jackson barely sees the field. So
he's had a little – he hasn't lived up to the hype since being back. There was a whole issue. That's why Jones got released.
Right.
Whole issue over playing time. It's like they're trying to lose.
Actively as well. So, yeah, get the ball to Daniel Bellinger. get the ball to Jalen Hyatt. Each of those guys only 12 catches on the season. I mean, as good as Saquon is, you want to try to get other players involved as well. So New England doesn't stack 8 in the box against you like 80% of the game. You don't want that to happen. That's a recipe for failure if you're the Giants. You want to take shots early if you're Tommy DeVito. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I hope Andrew Thomas plays. That's a big problem for you. And I will say no Matt Judon or Christian Gonzalez out for the season. That's definitely brutal. Any other injuries of note for the Patriots that New England or Giants fans should keep an eye on for Sunday?
So they're coming off a bye, so I don't exactly know yet. I feel like it's more of a wait and see. I feel like and Wenyu's been in and out of the lineup. The Cole Strange has been in and out of the lineup. It's been a little inconsistent. I'm hoping this bye can kind of help moving forward. But those are the two major injuries on. Kendrick Bourne. I forgot about him. He's hurt. He's not playing. He's been out for a little bit. So, the three of their most important players to be successful this year aren't going to be on the field. And hopefully after this bye, some of those guys dealing with nagging injuries can be on the field and perform against the Giants.
Yep, and for the Giants, Adoree Jackson dealing with that concussion. Wan'Dale Robinson's playing through a knee. Andrew Thomas, as I mentioned, playing through a knee as well. You'll probably go up against at least 2 backup offensive linemen this week. So Lawrence Guy, Dietrich Wise, Christian Barmore, Godchuk. Please stop Saquon Barkley. Make DeVito beat you. Make him beat you. Let's get to our game predictions. Obviously, it is Thanksgiving weekend. A lot to give thanks. I can't quite say we're thankful for our football teams and their records this season.
Not really.
The Giants and Patriots have a combined record of 5-16. Walt, I'll start with you. Who's winning this one, and what's your final score prediction?
I think the Giants are going to win. I'm thinking like 21-17. I don't think this is going to be a very pretty game, but after what I saw last week in Germany, I feel like I'm watching a borderline high school football team. I do think with them coming off of a bye and having some history with the Giants, I do think they'll perform a little bit better than most weeks, but I don't think this team is proven to me they can win many football games. I did just double check the injury report list off of today's practice. Jawan Bentley and Devontae Parker are technically questionable. I think Bentley would be a huge loss, especially if they're going up against Saquon Barkley. So hopefully whatever they're dealing with throughout the rest of this week can be healed by the time they perform. But I don't think the Patriots are winning this game. I don't think they've proven to me over the last couple of weeks that they are capable of winning football games. They embarrassed themselves in Germany. I don't think they'll embarrass themselves in New York, but I don't think they're going to win this game against the Giants. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. They haven't proven to me they can win on either side of the football, and I think the Giants will take advantage of that in this matchup.
All right. So for me here, I do like that prediction. I'm going a little bit lower scoring. No, not too much, actually. Giants 20, Patriots 13.
Okay.
The Giants have not beaten the Patriots at home since 1987. It's been a very long time, and I think that spell breaks this weekend. I think Giants fans who want to tank, unfortunately, will get more mad. I think the Giants are going to move closer to that 8-10 range after this weekend. They'll improve to 4-8. And hot take, this might be a hot take, the Giants won't finish in last place this season. I think Washington finishes in last. We've beaten them twice. The Giants have a little bit going for them right now, a little bit of momentum. Tommy DeVito, Brian Dable, the schedule lightens up a little bit. You got the Packers. Yep, you still got the Eagles twice, but you got the Packers. You got the Rams, who have been, so-so this season. So we'll see. We'll see. I picked the Giants to lose last week, and they surprised me. So I was tempted to do it again out of reverse fortune, but I think we're going to pull it out. Walt, I want to thank you so much for hopping on with me this afternoon. Before I let you sign off here, where can people find your content?
So you can find my content on Down the Block Sports on YouTube and on Instagram. I haven't been as active lately. I need to step my game up as we enter 2024. I've taken a little step back with things as I take care of some other professional obligations with my work at SiriusXM. But you can find my work again, Down the Block Sports. It's a channel on YouTube, and I have a page as well on Instagram.
Awesome. And Alec does a lot of great work there. He covers all sports, especially the big four, you name it. He is an awesome content creator, a good friend of ours as well, of the program for a few years now. So,
yes, sir.
Alec Walt, I wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving and all the best on Sunday.
Yeah, Tom, happy Thanksgiving to your family as well. Best of luck in this exciting matchup between the Patriots and the Giants. It's certainly no Super Bowl matchup, I can guarantee you that. But it should be fun. Thank you again for having me, and it's been an awesome time reconnecting on your show.
Absolutely. Folks, that was Alec Walt. Make sure to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. If you want to follow some New England Patriots content, if you're a Patriots fan watching our channel, follow Alec Walt at Down the Block Sports. Folks, without further ado, we say it every week, let's go Big Blue.